Hello folks, Y Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful winter day. As long as the sunshine is out, I don't mind this snow so much, as you can see over my shoulder here. The name of this video is called The Y Guy Defines Sin. Powerless, defeated, irrelevant, and a distraction. There, I just defined sin. Guess the video is over. It's the shortest video I've ever done. You know, I woke up this morning with a strong impression to ask God to teach me what it really means to be one with Him. You know, and a moment after this conviction, by the way, conviction in the Greek implies a bridging of thoughts, a bridging of God's thoughts to our own when God does the convicting. I hope that made sense. But anyway, a moment after this conviction, I did exactly that. I asked God to teach me what it really means to be one with Him. You know, as I pondered my prayer, the question of sin just came to the forefront of my mind. You know, but understand something. When I say the forefront of my mind, I was simply conscious of sin in my life, but I was not being sin conscious. There's a huge difference here, folks. You know, being conscious of sin is what Paul mentions in Romans, where he says it's not I who sin, but it's sin in me. And he knew not to take that personally. He was comfortable in his own skin. Okay, he was comfortable with sin in his skin. All right, that doesn't mean you're sin conscious, because he knew when he wrote that. And you know what? He did a double emphasis on that particular verse. I don't have it right here in front of me. I can't give you the address. But where he said it twice, that it's not I who sin, but sin in me. If you look that up, you'll notice how he did a double emphasis on that. But you know, when it comes to sin consciousness, where sin in your face all the time, how it's preached in a lot of churches, most churches actually, Christian churches, being sin conscious, it's based on a deep-seated fear. You know, I don't know about you folks, but you know, back in the day when I used to be sin conscious, it seemed like I could never pray without wondering, always wondering about some kind of sin in my life, something I wasn't doing right or something I was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it's based on fear of rejection by God, or fear of my prayer not being answered, or fear. That's what it's all based on. And when I say a deep-seated fear, that's what I'm talking about. But you know what? In 1 John, it talks about how the perfect love of God casts out exactly that kind of fear. What kind of fear are we talking about? Fear of not being accepted by God. Fear of being punished by God. That's exactly the context of it. Okay? And plus, there's numerous places, I don't have it, this has come off the top of my head here, there's numerous places where it talks about us approaching God's throne with boldness. How can you approach God's throne with boldness if you're sin conscious? It doesn't add up. Okay, I also need to address how the religious carnal mind will conclude, you know, if they happen to come across this video, or if any of you share this, they'll conclude that I'm making an excuse for sin, you know, and how I'm sanctioning people to do whatever you want, whatever's fun, whatever's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? They'll say that. They'll accuse me of that, falsely, of course. But on the contrary, when a person realizes that they are one with God, as I prayed this morning, they won't be as easily distracted to do whatever they want. You see? But instead, you're going to want to do what God wants. If you're one with God, I mean, no duh, right? It makes sense. You know, sin means to miss the mark, and I'm beginning to believe that I am one with God. When I say I'm beginning, you know, as Jesus prayed on our behalf, that we'd be one with God as He is one with the Father. You know, I got to admit, I'm clueless what that really means. I'm learning. And I know I'm eventually going to find out what that means, and so are you. So is everyone. But I have a feeling that this knowledge that I'm missing is the mark that I've been missing. Okay, this would mean Christianity is actually causing people to sin. Whoa, where did you come up with that, why guy? Because they're instructing its members to focus so much, focus an incredible amount of energy on sin. It's always sin, 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 sin. Hey, look over here. Sin. Look at yourself. Sin. Look in the mirror. Sin. And the whole time, God is over here. Okay? That's how it's done. By doing so, they unwittingly are doing the exact opposite of what it takes to be one with God. If you're not focusing on God, how can you be one with God? If anything, Christendom seems to be, in most cases, compounding the problem by distracting people away from God, so people will focus in on their sin, the sin in their life, all along thinking that by doing this, that they're getting closer to God. What an insidious deception, folks. In conclusion to this video, I haven't been sin conscious for over 5 years now because I know it's defeated. I know what Jesus did. And I know that Jesus made it powerless. And if it's powerless, doesn't that make it irrelevant? And it's nothing more than a distraction to keep us from being one with God if we focus on it. Does that make sense? It's as if I'm in limbo because I know I haven't walked in the knowledge of being one with God. And that's what I feel right now. So now you can see why I prayed, and I hope you make the same prayer in your life. That is, if God entices you, convicts you, impresses upon you to do so, that you would pray, teach me to be what it means to be one with you, Father, one with you, God. I'm hoping that for all of my viewers. And if you agree with that sentiment, give me a thumbs up on this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you disagree with this, give me a thumbs down, but be polite if you're going to leave a comment that doesn't agree with what I'm saying. Look me up on Facebook. I have a private group called the Why Guy Group. For all the years that's been going, no one has ever been booted off or blocked. That's how non-judgmental and loving those folks are in that group. And if anyone's cantankerous, it's me. I'm probably the honoriest one in the group. Well, I started it, so I got to be a little ornery, I guess. Also, look me up under by the way, that's a closed group. There's 3 questions I ask of you to join. 3 simple little questions. I have a name of Jonathan Jones I go by on an open public timeline. Look me up there, you know. So I hope this video has made sense. I hope it's encouraged you to not be fearful of sin in your life. Sure, acknowledge it, but realize it's sin in your life. It's not you, that you're one with God. You're not one with sin. Okay? Even though that's kind of what's pushed on you a lot. I want to encourage you not to swallow that. All right? Thank you for viewing.